Hello and welcome to Wednesday Live with Evie number 39. And today's topic is 3 questions to answer for faster decision making. And if you don't know me, my name is Evie Burke and I work with entrepreneurs and I help them take their productivity to a new level. And before we get started and we talk about what those 3 questions are, let me share just a couple of things that you might not know about. So one is I have a freebie over at my website. That's oneinsightcloser.com. And it's called How to Choose Priorities When Everything is Important. So if you are someone who has too many things on your to-do list and you're overwhelmed by the thought of what to do next, head over there and grab that because that will help you decide what to do next after you spend a little bit of time with it, and it'll save you so much time in the long run. All right, and then a couple of other things I have is there is a Facebook group. It's a free group. It's called Productivity for Women Entrepreneurs, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's to help women entrepreneurs with their productivity. So if that's something that sounds appealing to you, head over there and join us. I would love to have you. And then last but certainly not least, if you are somebody who is looking for some regular accountability and some one-on-one time with me in a group setting, I have a mastermind program that is going on right now that is still accepting members. So if you're interested in joining me for that, let me know and we can talk about whether that's a good fit or not and all of the details that go with that. So those are the 3 things I wanted to share. So let's go ahead and talk about today's topic. 3 questions for faster decision making. If you see me looking over that direction, it's because that's where my notes are. So I just want to keep an eye on my notes so that I don't go completely off topic or completely sidetracked. Occasionally I go kind of sidetracked and the notes help me to not go completely sidetracked like I'm doing now. So last week the topic for Wednesday Live with Evie was saying no with confidence. And we talked all about how to show up and be able to say no. And whether that's a sales conversation that you're in or if you're having coffee with somebody and they're sharing about their business and they're asking you if you'd be interested in that, how you can confidently say no and what goes into that. And we kind of delved a little bit into what a good sales conversation is and what separates the good ones that people leave going, okay, I had a good experience, from the bad ones where people leave going, oh, I just wasted my time and that was so icky. So head over there, head to last week's to watch that. But this week's topic fits well with it because basically we're talking about how to know when to say yes or when to say no to something. And again, this comes from my own personal experience where I realized that I had said yes to a couple of different things that came across my way, and I was able to fairly quickly say yes to them once I, dived in and learned a little bit more about them, because that's one of my quirks, so to speak, is I like to learn, a little bit about things before I get them, more than some people who just go purely on gut feeling, maybe. But I was able to pretty quickly say yes to them, and I realized that there were some things that I was doing, some questions I had already answered that allowed me to say yes to them, that allowed me to know that when these came across my awareness, that these were things that I wanted to do. And so I want to share those with you today. But before I get into that, I want to share just a little bit more about the quick yes, so to speak. Because like I said, I was able to fairly quickly say yes to them. And when I say fairly quickly because they weren't instant yeses. But I was drawn to both of these programs and to both of the people who are doing these programs. What I did after initially finding out about them was I went and I learned more about them. or, I asked questions or, chatted with somebody to find out a little bit more about what the program was. And then once I knew what that was and I had these question answers, then I was able to say yes. I think pretty quick, like within 10 minutes, pretty much, of getting my questions answered. And these are the questions that I got answered. And once I knew that all of these lined up, I said yes. So let's talk about these, because these are questions that some of them you can know ahead of time. Some of them you can know the answers to these ahead of time. And actually, I'm just realizing I haven't shared this over on my into the event. So let me do that quickly. And in the meantime, I know there's a couple of people here watching live, and even for those of you who aren't, what are the questions that you find yourself asking? Or the things that you want to know about something before you decide whether you're going to purchase it or say yes to it? What are those things that help you decide whether you're going to say yes or not? And if you want to just share those below, that would be great. While I share this into the event, we're going to share into an event. There we go. So that's shared there. So the time commitment, yes. Rochelle, are you looking at my notes? Because that's actually the first thing that I want to know. That's the first thing I wanted to talk about too. So you just queued that up perfectly for me. So the first thing is time. Exactly what Rochelle wrote below. What's the time commitment? And a lot of times I'll know beforehand what the time commitment is that I'm willing to make to something. So I know how much time I have to devote to something new on a daily or weekly basis. I have that already kind of swimming around in my head. And for example, for the couple of things I said yes to, I know for myself that I can only handle so much new at once. And when I have too much new, I shut down. You can call it procrastination, you can call it overwhelm, you can call it whatever you want. If I have too much new happening, I shut down and avoid everything. So I know for myself that I limit the amount of new that's going on at once, just so that I don't have that overwhelm. I'm not procrastinating, that type of thing. And I'm at a spot right now where my coach has basically said, do not do or offer any new in your business right now. You are at a point, or I'm at a point, where I'm not starting new programs up. I'm not offering new things. I'm working on building the things that I already have. So that kind of new isn't happening in my business right now. However, that means that there's space for other new to pop up, for other new to happen. So that meant when these things came across my desk and the time commitment wasn't like hours a day, it was, these are little things to do, on a daily basis, I can do that. So the time commitment was within my current boundaries, my current availability, so to speak. So that's the first question, is time. What time do you have available, and how much time is the thing you're thinking of saying yes or no to going to take? Now, the second one is money. And I believe in investing in myself and investing in my business, and I believe in being a good steward of my money. So in my business and in my personal life, I have budgets. So I know about how much I'm willing to spend based on what my budget is and what my values are. Now, what I want to say here is this doesn't mean that it's always comfortable to do these investments, or that I don't sometimes stretch myself where it's appropriate. But I also know that I don't want to sign up for something that's going to cause me a lot of extra stress. So signing up for a multi-thousand-dollar thing isn't something I'm going to do because that will stress me out. And that will be counterproductive to whatever the program is trying to help me with, because I'm going to be so stressed out. So I know that because that's going to conflict with my values. That's going to conflict with how I define being a good steward of my money. So I won't sign up for those things. So I have a good idea already, if I'm signing up for anything new, what's the budget, what values, or how does it have to be set up so that I would be familiar or comfortable saying yes to it. So in these examples, I knew how much I was willing to spend to get the results that they promised, because anytime you sign up for something or a program or whatever it is, there's results that are promised, right? They say, if you do this, you will get this. And I knew how much I was willing to spend on that, and they lined up. So that's the second thing, is the money commitment. How much are you willing to spend for the results you're looking for? And for the program that you might be considering, or the service or the product that you're considering, how much does that cost? And the third thing, but almost the most important, is interest. And that is, how interested am I in this thing that's being offered? So I don't know that everybody has this. I think it's a great idea for everybody to have this. But I have an interest list. And it has nothing to do with, well, it has a little to do with finances, but it's not about like compounding interest or anything like that, in a money sense. It's the people or the programs or the services that I have come across that currently don't meet my time or my money concerns or criteria, but they're people or programs that I want to keep on my radar, so that when the time or the money is in the right spot, I know what I'm interested in to go and look them up and say, hey, the time is right. So a lot of times when you're in business, you have the people who say, now's not a good time, but later is. And so you keep a list of those people, right? And you reach out to them. However often it is you reach out to those people who say that they're interested, but not right now. Well, I have the flip of that, where these are people or products or services that I'm interested in purchasing, but not right now. So I keep a list of those. I have a list in my note. I'm looking for it. It's in my purse. I have a list in there of people and products and services that I think I would absolutely love to experience or love to have. And right now is not the right time. And so I'm honoring that I'm honoring that I'm choosing to not spend my time and my money on those things right now, but they might be things that in the future I will want to spend my time and my money on. So I have that list of things. So I also have, and I try to think about this weekly, if not monthly, what are the things that I need to work on or I want to work on in my business and my personal life? So as I'm thinking about the goals that I have, what information do I need? What things do I need or do I want to help me reach that goal or do that more efficiently? What holes in my knowledge do I have? What knowledge can benefit me? And I keep, a running list isn't the right word, but I keep that top of mind. What are the things or the skills that I need to learn to reach that goal? Or just things that I want to learn because I think they're interesting. I kind of keep that list top of mind. So if I'm on a call, this came up where I had the opportunity to be on a call with somebody and work on something that was a problem for me, a free coaching call basically. I shared the sales part of it in the last call. And because I knew, what it is that I wanted to be working on, what skills or what things I wanted to grow, I was able to jump into that conversation and know exactly what to work on. Keeping a list of those is a really helpful thing to me, so it's nice to have that list. And sometimes it's fun just to look at, because a lot of times it just makes me feel good that these are things that I get to experience at some point. Even if I'm not doing them right now, I'm excited that they're on that list, and at some point I will get to experience them. So, it's just a fun list to keep. So, all right, so let's see, the 3 criteria. And if anybody has any questions or anything here, jump in. If you have an additional criteria that you use that you want to share, throw it in the comments below and let's talk about it. So for me, for the 2 programs I just signed up for, the 3 questions that I asked are, am I interested in this? So yes, because both were in areas of my life or my business that I wanted to improve. Do I have the time? I looked at the time commitment that I had available and the time commitment that each program was going to take, and yes, I had the time available. And 3, do I want to make my money available for this? And yes, it fits my values and my budget. A quick side note here that's not on my notes, but things that I do want to talk about it, is to pay attention to your wording. So you might have noticed I didn't say I can't afford that right now or anything like that. Instead, I talked about I'm choosing to spend my time and my money in other places. I didn't say I can't afford it. I didn't say I don't have time for it. I said I'm choosing to spend my time and my money in other places. Because anything that we're doing or we're not doing are choices that we're making. And so if you can, what's the word I'm looking for? If you can own the choice and say, I am choosing to spend my time and money on this, or I am choosing not to spend my time and money right now on that, then do that. Or if it's, talking about saying no last week, saying, no, that's not a good fit for me, instead of I don't have time or I don't have the money for it. It's not a good fit. I am choosing right now not to spend my time or my money on that. Reach out to me later, or however that is, because it's all choices that we're making. So when you say I'm choosing to spend my time or I'm choosing how I'm spending my money, that's a lot different energetically than saying I don't have time or I don't have the money, right? Because when you say I don't have time or I don't have the money, that's putting you at the effect of your time and your money versus you taking ownership of how you're spending your time or how you're spending your money. All right. So just notice your language and how you talk about things, because they're small tweaks, but they can change the way you show up to decision making. And instead of it being, oh, I can't do that right now, and it's something else out there's fault, it's I'm choosing not to do that right now, and that's my choice, right? And that feels different energetically, and other people pick up on those little shifts, and it can start to shift other things too. So just be aware of that. Yeah, Mary says, I think sometimes we forget to place a value on our time. Yes. And I think sometimes that's where, anyway, I think sometimes that's where we end up with a life-work imbalance that we don't like. And if you've heard me talk about work-life balance before, work-life balance is whatever you define it as. So if you're not happy with your current work-life balance, then either adjust your definition or adjust your time. So there's going to be times in our lives where you're spending more time at work and less time, with family or whatever you do outside of work. And that's okay. So just adjust your expectations that right now for this season, I'm spending more time at work. And that's your work-life balance. They don't have to be equal. They're very rarely equal. And then at other times, there's going to be other seasons in your life where you're going to want to spend more time outside of your work, doing those other things that you like to do. And again, that's great. Just adjust the definition and work with that new definition, right? And if the definition you're working with doesn't work for you, adjust it. And if your definition works for you, but that's not how the balance is ending up, make some adjustments. And like Mary indicated with time, sometimes we don't take that into account. We're just like, oh yeah, I have lots of time. And we sign up for something, go, you know what, this isn't working. Yeah, and Ellen says, I might have the time, I might have the money, but it's just not a priority. Yeah. And that's exactly what it is. Is there an interest there? And yeah, you might have the time, you might have the money, but you might not have the interest to do that. Or you might not have the interest right now to do that. And like you said, it just might not be the priority for you right now. So, I don't have anything else for you today. Those are the 3 questions. So again, it is, am I interested in this? Do I have the time? Do I want to make my money available for this? I'm interested to know what you guys think. Are these criteria that you already use? Are these things that you can see yourself using in the future? And I mentioned it, but just to say it again, I know the answers to these 3 questions pretty much at any time. So I know what I'm interested in. I know what are the things that I'm interested in, whether they're things for right now that I want to work on, the goals or the skills that I want to learn, that kind of thing. And I also know the things that are for later, right? I know pretty much on a regular basis, because I review my weekly, how much time I have available each week for new things that might come up. And because I have a budget and I know my numbers, so to speak, I know how much money I have available to do different things, and how much is a stretch but I'm still willing to do versus how much is a stretch and I'm not willing to do, right? And then anything under that, is an easier choice. All right, so I see you said, there we go. Had to hit see more, Mary, so let me see. Yeah, so Mary talked about, she has a friend that just moved to the area that doesn't know anybody else. And so her friend needed some help and said, hey, could you help me with some transportation that I need? And Mary's friend is a high priority to her. So she said yes, because she already knows that this person is a high priority right now. And so she's willing to go and do that because she knows what her priorities are. So yes, that's a perfect example, Mary. And so, yeah, and it's also an example to say that it doesn't always have to be for things, products, or services that you're purchasing. It can just be questions, uses of your time, or availability that have nothing to do with income, right? So, again, let me know what you think here, and if you have any topic that you'd like to see covered in the future, or covered again or in more depth, let me know. I'd be interested to know what are some things that you would like to see covered here on Wednesday Live with Evie that either I haven't covered, or maybe I've covered one aspect of it and you want to see another aspect covered. So let me know. So that was Wednesday Live with Evie number 39. And we talked about the 3 questions to answer for faster decision making. And just to go over those quickly again, they are, am I interested in this? Do I have the time, or am I willing to make the time for this? And do I want to make my money available for this? So leave any questions you have below. I will see them, and I look forward to seeing you again next week on Wednesday Live with Evie. Much love, and bye.